right, looking through My Harry Potter Crochet Book by Lucy Collins, there is not a pattern for the tail on Norbert the Dragon. Now maybe your version has a tail pattern. If so, that's awesome. Please follow it. But on mine there is not one, so we are going to make a long tube and attach that. So we'll start out by crocheting 2. And then we'll crochet 8 in the second chain from the hook, always going back through the same hole. So there's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I know the hole is getting bigger, but don't panic. 7, 8. And since it was a slip stitch, we're just going to go ahead and close that up. And we're going to come over here and slip stitch into our first chain. Just going to slip stitch there. We've got a nice piece of stitching to work off of. So let's go ahead and single crochet around. And slip stitch at the beginning again. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and put a marker here. And then I'm just going to keep crocheting in the round without adding or taking away any stitches. We've got a good solid foundation. And this time, when we come back around, instead of slip stitching, we're simply going to keep crocheting in each stitch. That first stitch was a slip stitch, so it's going to be a little hard to get into, but after this round it should be easier. Remember, I'm not adding to or taking away from any of my stitches. I'm simply going around in each of my 8 stitches, building the tube out until the tail gets as long as I want it to be. I think Norbert's tail needs to be almost as long as his body, but you can make yours any length that you want. And quite frankly, you might just go until you're tired of crocheting, because obviously there's nothing too complicated about this tail. I think I still have another 2 inches maybe to go. You can certainly stuff this as you go as well. I have a really long tool to stuff with, so I'm just going to wait until the end. Okay, actually I'm going to bring it around to my marker and call it good. It's not quite as long as his body, but I'm happy with the length. And again, do the same thing as before. We'll take this and run it right up through the center of the tail so that we don't have anything left out. And if you want, you could kind of close this up. I think I'm going to do that so the tail's just a little bit pointed. Super easy to do. Just a couple of stitches in there. And then we'll take it and run it through the inside. grab some stuffing and start pushing that stuffing down. And I want my tail to be pretty firm so it can give some balance to my amigurumi. So as with the legs, we'll do the same with the tail. I'm going to center it right over our beginning stitch here, but I'm also going to sew it in the round. I'm not going to pinch this opening together. I'm going to leave it open and just stitch it right along here. Let's see if that's going to work. Now probably I would have done a little bit better if I'd have brought my legs down a little further. So you can play around with it on yours and position them where you like. Again, be patient with yourself because her patterns are not at all easy to read. So if you've struggled with any of these, I totally understand. I have struggled with them as well. But we're going to get it finished. As I always say, finished is definitely better than perfect. And if you're giving this to one of your kids or grandkids, they are going to absolutely love it. And they're certainly not going to look for flaws. Okay, we're almost around to where we can just tie the tail off. And I left my tail just a little bit too short to do as much tying off as I wanted. So I'm going to have to use my crochet hook and pull it through. That will be fine. Clip off the tail ends. And we have a dragon.